Impossible is not a fact. It's an opinion. And someone tells me it's impossible, I always just look at anybody around me knows that they can't do that. That's part of it. But if they didn't know me, it was always the chokehold, is always the psychology and the skills of a leader. Always an 80% of that is psychology and 20% is the mechanics. Like if you don't know how to read your financials and you're trying to fly the plane of your company, I mean, come on. You know, if all you do is go down and you look at profit loss and you see what it is and you have a beer either way, you either celebrate or you get depressed, you know, something, you're going to be in trouble, right? But if you have the skill sets, that's one thing, but you can get any skill set if you have the psychology. And any time a business is not growing, it is not because it's impossible. It's because they aren't innovating. And they're not innovating because they're believing it's impossible. I mean, if we all know, what does it take to transform? And obviously, help people. It takes 3 things to create a breakthrough in anything in your personal life, in your business, anywhere you need a strategy. But that's not the first place you should look. And it's the first place all of us look, me too. It's our inherent thing. You want to lose weight? Well, how do I do it? I'm going to grow my business. How do I do it? It's instinctive. We've been trained to think that way, but the problem is the how to is usually not that complex. I mean, come on, 70% of Americans, 75% of America now is overweight. Is that because it's so complex that it'd be fit and strong, right? You know, only the 1% know the answer is they hide it from you. You have to work your ass off to not hear what it takes, right? And so I remember I went to this, I went to a TED Mead Center and I watched about 12 doctors, one after another, get up and do these stories about how we could just get patients to take their medications and try to figure out the whole thing. And I was just looking, going, you're all talking about strategy and you've forgotten psychology because strategy is wonderful. I'm a strategist, spent my whole life figuring out strategies. We both know a strategy could save you a decade, right? And business strategy could save you. You know, you could make the difference between success and failure, but most people have strategies available. Or they could get them, or you could create them. But the problem is you got a story, and your story is why it isn't working. And the story is, I've tried what? Everything. If you tried everything, you'd be fit, right? If you tried everything, you'd be profitable. If you tried everything, you'd be there. But people say it, I'm big bone. That's what I used to say. I'm still big bone, but I'm 38 pounds lighter than I was 25 years ago, and I've never gained it back, right? But I was big bone. That was my story. All the good ones are gone. That's why I'm not in a relationship. Or they're gay, I'm not on game. They are whatever the story is. There's always a story. And when I tell people, if you can just divorce the story of your limitation and marry the truth of your unlimited capacity, then the whole game changes. Fulfillment is an art. What's going to fulfill you is different than the other person next year. You're not going to learn that from anybody else. You got to find it, because success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And I get those phone calls all the time for the multi-billionaire entrepreneur or politician or business person, or a person just won their Academy Award. And they're depressed and they can't tell anybody they got all their goals, but they're not fulfilled because they really don't have that sense of meaning in their life. They went for something and they got it. They achieved. And if you doubt this, what I'm saying is relevant to you or us or anyone, just think about it. About a year or a month ago, we lost what I consider to be a national treasure, Robin Williams. How many of you love Robin Williams? Look around the room, keep your hands up. Look, and most of you didn't know him, almost every. And where are you going? The world, people love Robin Williams, by the way. Was he great at achievement? Oh my God. That guy, he said he wanted to become a great comedian. He did that. I want to make the world laugh. He did. I want to make my own TV show. He did. I want to have the #1 TV show. He did it. I want to make movies. He did it. I want an Academy Award for not being funny, not his skill set drama. And he did it. I want a beautiful family. He did it. And then he hung himself, like everybody happy but yourself. Not a good plan. So if I had a gift to give you, it would be maybe make a different decision. And the decision is that no matter what happens in your life, you're going to live in a beautiful state, and that could be happy. That could be grateful. That could be being generous. Those are all beautiful states, aren't they? It could be curious. It could be fun. It could be playful. You're not limited to one state, but it's different than suffering. And most people suffering and all suffering I've ever seen. I traveled 100 countries. I've dealt with presidents of countries and, presidents of businesses, CEOs. I've dealt with people in prison. I've dealt with, you name it, average people. Suffering always comes because you're obsessed about something related to you. You can only be depressed if you're focusing on yourself. So now I'm depressed because it's my kids and they're not doing well. You're depressed because you feel you failed your kids. It's about you. It's about how you think what you should have done or shouldn't have done, or what someone did to you or didn't do you in the past or the future, which don't even exist. So I have a simple goal. My goal is help people make a decision that says, I don't know what's going to happen. You might get a divorce, even though you don't think so. You might find a family of your family with cancer. You might have your house get burned down or have a tornado go by. And if you live in the same place, it happens every 2 years and you move back. We should talk, but some people seem to do that for some reason. You can't control those things. I can't control those things. I don't want those to happen to you or anybody I love or anybody who's even a stranger to me, but they're going to happen true. Not positive thinking, both just the truth. So if that's going to happen, I say make a decision now that says, I'm going to I live in a beautiful state and I'm going to find beauty in whatever life brings me, because life is too short not to. Michael Gerber, the guy that wrote The Myth, talks about why so many young businesses fail. And one of the things he says is most people are not really entrepreneurs, but they think that's what they should be. They think that's the sexy thing. That's the most attractive thing. That's the answer. When I say you've got to separate the vehicle from the outcome. What is it that's going to truly fulfill you? What is it that's going to give you that extraordinary life? What's going to make things magnificent on your terms, not somebody else's terms, not your father, your mother, your background? When does that really separate? You should terminate the vehicle. There's many ways to get that vehicle. And I'm saying sometimes you got to reevaluate what's going to really make you fulfilled. What is your gift? Are you an artist? Are you a talent that can produce something no one else produces as a skill or a product or a service or some impact? Are you incredibly good at management? You really know how to manage or lead people? Are you an extraordinary entrepreneur that can take that gigantic gut load of risk and can create the vision and attract the talent that you need in the managers and leaders? You may have all three abilities, but which one really fulfills you the most is going to be the critical question, because we tend to want to do them all, especially in a room like this, because you're all overachievers, right? Me too. And you say, well, I can do all these. Yes, you can. But what will it do to your quality of life? See, again, the secret's going to be this. What is an extraordinary life on your terms today? If you find your passion, you're going to have this tremendous energy of sustainable energy. But momentum requires you always do the next thing to keep the momentum going. And the reason you get yourself in a passionate place is so that you change your life. And the only thing that changes your life is making a decision. So while you're in this passionate state, that's where you make decisions. You don't make decisions when you're like, oh, I don't know. What do you think? All right, let's decide. If you make a decision in a state without momentum, if you make a decision from a place where there's no passion, you are not going to get momentum. It'll kill momentum. It's decide, commit, and resolve. Some of you in the past, you've gotten momentum, you've gotten passionate, you've even made a decision. But a decision is the first step. Decision is like a war. I got to do this or that. All right? I'm going to make myself do this. But commitment is when you nail, after you decided you commit to do this for the long term. Whether it's hard, easy, it doesn't matter. You're doing this. It takes it from this moment and it carries it into the future, even when things are difficult. And the third state is resolve. Resolve means it's done. And it's like, it doesn't even, if you took action, it's done inside you. So it's done out there, no question whatsoever. Then once you decide, the only way that commitment and the energy and the momentum continues is if you take immediate massive, what my friends massive, what write down on your notes. Massive action is the cure-all. Massive action is the cure-all. If you're having a difficult time with something, your relationship isn't where you want it to be, your finances are not where you want to be, your body's not where you want to be, your business is not where you want to be, you need to take massive action. And if that doesn't work, try something else. If that doesn't work, try something else. Keep going with massive action. And you will find the way, because it will give you momentum.